I got the fam, I got the keys, I get to work. I am the man, you know what I'm saying, so leave it to me, cause I get it first, yeah. Woo, I've been going all day, man. Same plan, can't change that. Till I'm riding around, whole squad sitting back, chilling in the Maybach. Yeah, only as deep as your roots go. I don't do corny like fructose. If you got the drama, that's word of my mama. I'll cover you up like a tombstone. I was fast in my past, now you see I'm the one. They say work, never work. If you work and it's fun, we on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We can do, ayy, we coming up from the dirt, ayy. They're trying to get us to fall, ayy. I don't even gotta flex now, boy. It's only win by the fault, ayy. Taking off with the ring, ain't nothing left, man. We the kings, ran with the team, ran with the dream, ran with the one fan in the seats, ayy. I pay my dues, check the receipt. Looking at you, you already peaked. Way back then. You can't follow with my tracks, man. I was fast in my past, now you see I'm the one. They say work, never work. If you work and it's fun, we on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up.
coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race. Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead.
Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loma is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett low. 4 wide at the stripe. For Audie's win here on this outside line. Neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out? Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to call.
The playoffs have finally arrived. Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the virtual Kentucky Speedway, and welcome to KBRN's live coverage of the Redline Racing League playoffs from the Bluegrass State. Happy to have you join us on the start of a playoff run all the way to the Championship 4 and the final race, where, along with Benjamin White alongside of the booth, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Well, Benjamin, now is where things finally kick off with 10 drivers now up for the challenge to fight for a championship starting tonight here where we get to Kentucky.
Yes, it ought to be a very good race here tonight, especially this first time with these guys on the new Kentucky version. Of course, it got updated this year. Well, also, you got to think about stage points. These guys are going to get stage points throughout the race. There's going to be stages on lap 30 and 60. That's going to be huge for our chase drivers. So we'll see how they're going to approach the stages, whether any of them are going to ditch the stages, go for the win. We'll see here. But currently on top of the boards here in qualifying, Dylan Alt, Vicente Salas, the two dominant cars all season long, still 1-2. And Guy Pappalardo in the third spot, so that's a good qualifying effort for the 9-car.
I mentioned stage points going to be so crucial going into this race for those playoff drivers. Speaking of playoff drivers, here's what the playoff grid is looking like at the start of this round of 10 starting tonight at Kentucky. We have these 10 drivers, starting with Vicente Salas at the top of the point standings, Dylan Alt, and then Brody Garner, Sam King, Blaze McKinney, Chase Bonser, all the way down to Andy McDowell, those top 10. And then after 2 races, once we get to Kentucky and Darlington, we'll cut that down to 6. And after 2 races at Charlotte and Talladega, we'll cut that down to just 4 to fight for the Redline Racing League Championship at Indianapolis and Phoenix, respectively. And those drivers all going to be looking for points. Every driver looking for different situations. Speaking of which, got about 4 drivers tied in points. So we're also going to be looking for that as we go through the stages. And as the field starts to grid, it's going to be a good time to go through the starting grid and see exactly where every single driver and your favorite driver will be starting at tonight's event. On the pole is Dylan Alt with a 29.597. He puts his Toyota Camry at the top of the board. Right alongside him in row number 1, a race winner from last week, Vicente Salas, looking to defend his win status. At least he starts second with a 29.609.
Row 2, Gaetano Pappalardo, almost a 10th back from our pole sitter Dylan Alt. And Ryan Kendrick is another one of the chase drivers. He'll start 4th.
Into the top 5, another 2 more playoff drivers actually in row number 3. Jordan Kuntz in the 999 will start tonight from 5th. And riding alongside in row number 3, Chase Bonser, the Proximity Racing entry, and the number 81 will start from 6th tonight.
Brody Garner, Sartaj will start in row number 4. Those are Proc's teammates, so we'll see how they will fare here tonight.
bit further back, row number 5, Andy McDowell and Blaze McKinney. Also, 2 more playoff drivers going to be filing out row number 5. Nick Miller, Mitch Hobbs, row number 6. You're looking a little bit further back where Josh Cossack, Corey Hartz will stand. And then even further back, Blaze Brinkley in row number 8 with Latham Joyner.
Continuing to scroll through the field here, that's Peter Kenny starting in the 18th spot. So it's his first start in a while. Sam King looks like the last one to take time here. Will start in the 19th spot, and then the rest of the drivers gridded behind him did not take qualifying times, and that is why they are not shown here on our starting grid board. But once we take the green flag, we will see those guys on our scoring.
See those guys seem to be Mark Frimpong. There's Aaron Brown, Malachi Drake, Casey Drake also there as well. Those are drivers. Michael Campbell, also Michael DiMaggio, and Latham Joyner. You see him a little bit further up the road that we just discussed just a little bit ago. As now the pace car is off out of pit road. We'll see the drivers start to line up 2 by 2 by 2 all the way behind Dylan Ault. Will be the pole sitter, lead the field of green with the Toyota Camry right alongside. Gonna take a look at the track info before we get going here from Kentucky Speedway with our race info presented by SDC. Got an oval configuration here at Kentucky Speedway, 1.46 miles. Got just a little bit of a difference in 1 and 2 compared to 3 and 4. Throttle control. Along with that, a track elevation at about 53.84 feet. Track temp at about 82 degrees, located in Sparta, Kentucky, in the United States of America. Looking at the weather as well, 81 degrees in the air temp, about a track temp, but we just mentioned about 82. Got wind directions to the southwest at 5 miles per hour. Humidity at 1%, fog 0%. We got partly cloudy conditions on under the lights here at Kentucky Speedway in the Bluegrass State. We are ready to get playoff racing and start this journey all the way to the championship floor. And of course, we are happy to have you join us on the KBueno Racing Network, and it's going to be a lot of fun covering this as we go. Pace car is off on a pit road. Dylan Ault and Vicente Salas will be the first 2 to lead them to the green flag, and they'll double up all the way through as we say, let's go racing, I guess, from Kentucky.
Pretty even start for the rows behind our 2 leaders, while Ault gets a nice advantage going to turn 1. Salas trying to go to the inside. That inside's going to be the preferred group, at least here through 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is a different animal. You could see several different lines being used down there in 3 and 4 as they work down the back straightaway for the first time. Ault trying to hold off all charges here.
Hold off as much as you can, and you will discuss, obviously we will discuss that difference in 1 and 2 compared to 3 and 4. And you see it's a little more wide open on the early runs in one of the sections, as it is a little bit tighter, I believe, off 3 and 4 than it is 1 and 2. So we'll see drivers lifting off the gas. And speaking of which, we saw Vicente Salas put a huge block on Gaetano Barpalardo there on the inside. The 9 tried to make the move down there. 14 also was able to clear, as now he's charged from Ryan Kendrick in the 0-0. We're looking to the outside as they're side by side, Ault trying to run away with the lead.
There's those multiple grooves being used that I mentioned earlier. Kendrick up to the 2nd spot. He's a chase driver looking to get as many points as possible, especially in these early stages. It's going to be very important for drivers outside of the cutoff to be able to get those stage points. Kendrick may be going after the lead here soon. He's got a huge run for 1 and 2.
Made that move on the outside. Now he's going to look to the inside, try to take over the race lead from Dylan Ault, and immediately he will charge to the inside. New race leader 0-0. Maybe not for long as Ault tried to pull the crossover. Going to be side by side, even down to the front straightaway, but also looking as we go, we got a fuel window of about 30 to 35 laps, and we do have our stage in at lap 30, so we'll be pretty tight in terms of the fuel strategy going down that road. When these drivers will have to pit on the racetrack, 60% fuel given to these drivers on the racetrack, 90% engine power. So we'll see how that affects the way these drivers handle this racetrack. Ryan Kendrick trying to look for another group up top. Here comes Vicente Salas trying to hold off 3 wide with Guy Papalato up top.
Bonds are trying to find a way up the middle. They're still 3 wide here. They've got 3 wide behind him as well. That's Nick Miller, Brody Garner. They almost get into each other. That was nearly a crash going to turn 1. There's Kuntz on the inside trying to battle for the 4th spot. Gets tight on the inside. We're seeing them spread 3 and 4 wide down the back straightaway. This is getting very, very, very tense early, Kenneth.
It's unbelievable as they're 3 wide. They're maintaining it as well. Almost 4 as Latham Joyner tried to look under the 999, but did think better of it. They're 3 wide with Latham Joyner in the middle. Looks like a formation lap almost as they're still trying to scramble for position. Monster almost found the way out of it, but he's still in the battle with Salas down low. Sartaj up top as Brody gets pushed off the track. Miller into it. They're into the wall. I'm not sure whether Miller got the worst of it. He might have as he's losing positions down the road. And that was contact as they might have been more contact up front.
This will split these drivers into, looks like 2 maybe distinct packs here. Looks like the first 7 cars have pulled away from the rest of these guys. Look at the tailgating going on here around the 20th spot. Frimpong put the block on Nick Miller, who's trying to recover from that wall bounce.
They're still going on. You see Kuntz now looking to the inside of Vicente Salas, trying to find his way through. But as we're seeing this go on, and we also see that on the lead heating up between Alton and Kendrick down low. Still, playoff drivers in this mix, needing stage points. You mentioned it at the top of the show, Benjamin, just how crucial they will be, especially since it's only 2 races. You're not gifted about 3 races, even maybe more in some of these playoff formats with other leagues. But in this league specifically, you have to run 2 races, then you're on to the next round. If you're behind the top 6, then that will be the end of the season, at least in terms of fighting for the championship. Still going to be looking for points, but not going to be in contention for a title. So we're going to see these drivers be aggressive, like Chase Sponsor, like Jordan Kuntz, maybe even guys like Ryan Kendrick, who are into that spot for the championship, that want to get those points and that are a little bit further back down the grid in order to secure their spot and have a good run going into Darlington next week.
Another important thing, mind you, is the finale round, the round of 4. That is actually a 2-race round, so it's not like you're only going to be putting up 1 race. It's going to be put together 2 good races to be the champion. So very unique way to approach the rounds format, but I do like that system.
It is very different from what we see. Usually it's just winner take all pretty much, a 1 race event for championship 4 racing. See Ryan Kendrick now under fire from Chase Sponsor down to the other side. But as you were mentioning, Benjamin, just how interesting this playoff system is in terms of determining the champion. It goes to other leagues that usually just have 1 race where 4 drivers are battling for the title. You have to finish ahead of the other 3 in order to gain that championship. But here, you have points involved and you have 2 races instead of 1. So you go to Indianapolis, round of 4, it's not the final race. You still have to prep yourself for Phoenix, get enough points along the stretch, and find your way to the top in order to crown a Redline Cup Series champion for this season. So it is very interesting in terms of how that is configured and how a champion will be called over 2 races over a stretch rather than just 1. And just having that luck in a 1 race, you're going to have to continue it on for a couple other races as Dylan Alt has already stretched his lead, thinks no more challenges here on lap number 12. But as we go into this run, Benjamin might be peeking a long run in the mix, seeing why these drivers might be separating further through.
It would be good to see a long run here early, and we are doing that right now. No cautions yet as we work lap number 12. Here's a battle for the 4th spot. That's Sartaj Maan, who barely missed the chase, trying to hold off Jordan Kuntz for this position here. Salas just trying to ride, maybe save some tires behind them. There's Brinkley. He's working his way up to the field as well.
Brinkley and McDowell side by side. This is 4-9th, and they are both playoff drivers, so they are also looking as well. You have to look a little bit further back where McKinney is to go for points. In the playoffs, at least 16th. Brody Garner, who's fallen back since that contact with Nick Miller. I think he's currently the last running playoff driver in this field at the moment, considering further back here as he's riding along with the 87 of Casey Drake and Mark Frimpong, respectively. The last driver sitting in the playoffs on the grid at the moment. Still ample time to get back up to the front. The race is still not over. Kendrick still looking for third. There's a lap car, or at least a car that's looking to be 1 lap down. I think that's Michael DiMaggio in the number 18. Who's just running by himself. He is yet to be caught by the field, but still trying to retain that lead lap spot. In case we have a yellow, won't need to go for a lucky dog. trying to get up through this field. Well, he is still at the reins right now. Still getting away from Andy McDowell. Still now Corey Hartz could be catching up to this three-car tandem of Latham Joyner, Sartaj Mon, and Guy Papalardo there in the number 9, looking under that 49. So now the group starting to form up as Kuntz may be looking to the bottom for third under Kendrick. Trying to look for as much as he can, and it is tough to really mention, or to manage at least the grooves here at Kentucky. Still multiple grooves can be kicked in. We saw Kendrick use the high line to try and take over the race lead, go for second. Still good enough space up there to make something happen, but you have to manage that groove specifically because the bottom seems to be the best line all around the track. You have it all to on the bottom to the yellow line, so that is where all these drivers are gonna want to be. There's Vicente Salas looking almost 3 wide at the bottom. There he goes under Jordan Kuntz for a podium spot, and P3 as he's still side by side of Vicente, the winner last week at the short track Martinsville Speedway. The short half mile of mayhem took his win. All have been on the short tracks and one road course. He's never won a race on an intermediate like this, has not won or had the chance to win an intermediate much like this track here at Kentucky, but he's got an opportunity to do so. He's won on the short tracks. He's shown his prowess at the road courses, so why not take a shot at the intermediate tracks, which we're going to see a lot throughout these playoffs. Going to pull up the playoff grid once more. You see how little short tracks we see in these playoffs. Kentucky tonight, Darlington 1.366 mile track next week, then Charlotte Dega, where we have an intermediate and a super speedway, and going to down Indianapolis, Phoenix. Phoenix seems to be the shortest track in that group or in that bunch, but it's not really short enough to sometimes be considered a short track. It's more kind of in the middle between that short track style and a little bit more of intermediate racing, almost tracks kind of like Iowa, which are relatively large. Feel like a short track, they feel different from the short track. They are relatively comparative to a short track, as right now 3 wide behind these drivers. Brinkley looking to the bottom of Sartaz, saw the 15 and McKinney also look there as well. So those 2 drivers eagerly trying to get to the front. Those are all playoff drivers in this mix. As Kendrick actually did fall through this field. He was on the outside, lost those spots, and now he's back behind Papalardo in the latter half of the top 10.
I was just about to mention how far he was falling back through the field. Really pushed those tires early and now is paying the price here as he's getting ran down by fellow chase driver Andy McDowell for position. Corey Hartz as well. That's a train of 3 proximity cars right there. Count it 4 if you count Nick Miller, who's on that team for some leagues.
They're taking the partial. He also runs for, I believe, SPM on the ice car side of things. Also smoke up ahead. Doesn't seem to be an incident though. There's Michael DiMaggio, who just went 1 lap down, so the field did inevitably catch up to him as we're catching up to 9 laps to go in stage number 1. Going to go all the way to lap number 30 before we conclude the stage. No yellows in these stages, so we'll continue green even though the stage has been concluded. So we'll have the points given out. We'll stay green if we have between flag condition, if there's no yellows to slice that up in the middle. We have seen perfectly timed yellows before, so still not out of the question as everybody looks to have singled out for the most part. As Vicente has now caught up through the field, he's now in a 3rd.
Good early run here for Joyner up in the 5th spot. Haven't really talked about him all race so far, but hey, he's running top 5 right now. Great run for him.
One of the quieter drivers here in his top 5. He's not a driver running for the championship, however, but still, also good runs. Making these good runs could give him some headway in order to get to the championship. As saw Blaze Brinkley a little bit tag the wall off turn number 2. He's been in this battle, and this group has been the most interesting so far. Sartaz, Blaze McKinney, Blaze Brinkley, Guy Papalardo, Kendrick, McDowell, maybe even Corey Hartz if he might try to join the party. Miller as well. DiMaggio trying to get out of the way. A large group with lots of playoff drivers. Maybe Guy almost had an issue there. Almost got contact with DiMaggio for a second. He ends up driving as the 49 got tagged just a little bit. They save it though, and Brinkley gonna look to the inside of the Toyota Camry.
What a save there from the 49. They all got stacked up behind Blaze McKinney, and I don't know how the 49 didn't get sent around there, but oh, he's not happy right there. He's trying to bump him back, but Brinkley's going to fend him off for right now. But this might be something to watch in these next few laps here. But one thing I do have to report on, our leader has damage. He's got damage. I don't know exactly how he got it, but it's holding them back here. And you can see second and third place, Bonzer and Salas are catching, as well as Jordan Kuntz in the 999 in fourth spot. So Dylan Alt could be in danger here.
Not sure where that damage came from, but you see it right there going down on the front straightaway. It's a little bit of right rear damage, possibly even damage to the spoiler there on the right side. So that could be affecting the aero on that machine. Might be the reason why he's losing a little bit of time to Bonser and Vicente in these final laps coming to the stage. Now Salas will look for second. He's been charging through this field, and I did mention this earlier, Benjamin, about how he's picked up wins at short tracks, picked up wins at the road course, but he's yet to really tackle the 1.5-mile tracks or the intermediate tracks with a win yet. So it's still in the cards for that 14 who's been also strong this season, and then the leader in points going into these playoffs to capture one of the intermediates, considering that there's not really a short track within the rest of these playoffs as opposed to Phoenix. Still side by side as the tire wear starts to kick in. We're getting into this one. Remember, 30 to 35 laps going to be aiming for in terms of the pit strategy. So by the time we end this stage, we will see that fuel window open. And we'll see drivers electing to go down pit road to get that service. Maybe even all could go down and have that opportunity quickly to get some of that damage repaired. Doesn't seem to be too much damage, but could be some time that he'll lose down pit road, maybe to some of these drivers, or depending on when he goes down pit road, if he decides to go with others. Blaze McKinney, Brinkley have gotten away from this group of Sartaj, Guy, Carlardo, and the guys behind them. Still, large group. What really will be the situation here if you're in this large group, fuel window comes up, and all of a sudden you're in a really big pack trying to get down to pit road?
I would spam the hotkey in the chat and report it over the radio and at least try and safely get to the inside. That's all you really can do here if you're in a big group like this. As you can see, side by side between the 9 and the 21 down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Papalardo has the advantage, but here on this long run, this middle to outside groove is getting a lot more prevalent. You can see the run that the 21 gets off of the corner and might be able to fend him off here to turn 1.
Miller also starting to catch up through the field. He's one of the drivers who fell a little bit further back. Brody Garner sent him further back the field. Got, I think, maybe have tagged the wall just a little bit. He did lose track position, but has found his way back. He's going to let the 9 by this time. And now, this time across the line, Dylan Alt will come off of turn 4, and he'll be the stage winner. So, second in points driver coming into tonight. Will get all those points to his advantage now, and has won so many stages, has captured those stages, has captured some wins along the way. There has been some that got away from him, but guess what, Benjamin? Like we saw at Martinsville last week, it's the top 2, the 99 and the 14 gonna do battle again. Maybe some remembrance of what happened at Martinsville?
I don't know. I think they have a lot of respect for each other anyways, and will race each other as such here in these chase format here, but Salas got by Bonzer for that second spot, and he has been coming, but fuel windows now coming into play, Kenneth. It's going to be around 35 to 37 laps, and this is lap number 32, so it's not going to be much longer until they have to pit.
Yeah, we're going to see drivers going down pit road, going to be drivers signaling each other to go down pit road, get that fuel, get some tires, and I'm sure fresh tires on this long run will mean a lot right now, because we're seeing a lot of these drivers complaining about maybe the car is getting a little bit tight in 3 and 4, and cars not handling as well as the tires start to fall off, and the cars really do get tight, really get a lot of understeer as opposed to maybe oversteer at tracks maybe like Phoenix. Some other short tracks where oversteer on the old tires and the tires spinning a lot is the biggest issue this time around. On these tracks, it's more the understeer that really gets you. That can really take you all the way up and visit. You can visit the outside wall and get some damage along the way. way. How about a little bit further back in the top 15? There's Braxton DeWeese now in this mix. We haven't seen much of DeWeese tonight, but he's already picking up his way. He's already gone by Kendrick, now into this group where Sartaj Nick Miller resides. So possibly could see that 8 back up to the front. Did see him have a good charge at Chicagoland a couple of weeks back. So we know how strong he's been, especially on tracks like these. And DeWeese still has yet to really, I think, capture victory here this season. Looking for that first in this season as well. So looking up in the top 15, still a lot of strong drivers that have yet to find their way up front. Still looking for that extra edge now, and could be it if they start this pit strategy a little early, or depending on when they pit.
Battle for the lead here. Salas has caught Dylan Alt, but he kind of got stalled out there through 1 and 2, as now Kuntz goes to the inside of Bonzer for the 3rd spot. That 999's been climbing up through the field as well.
Kuntz has found his way. He started practically up front, but now he's side by side with the 81. But you see the 81 getting the run on the outside. Tried to pinch him all the way to the yellow line to the bottom. Not give him as much time on the throttle. So the 81 will retain 3rd and will defend his spot. And now the 999 and the 81, they got to do is maybe even worry about the 15 behind them. Blaze McKinney, remember, all the drivers in the top, I'd say top 6 are all playoff drivers. All the way down to Blaze Brinkley in 6. These are all playoff drivers, so all of this are points. These are different points to gain, points to lose as this goes down. And speaking of which,
Pit
Dylan
stop.
Alt's down pit road. Kuntz is down pit road, so our pit strategy starts on lap number 36.
Alt, the first one to come in. Kuntz follows behind him. So looks like Salas, Bonzer, McKinney, among others, have stayed out on the racetrack. And if they stay out, I'd say more than 3 laps, they're digging themselves a hole here. But we'll see when these guys decide to pit. If I were Salas and the rest of these guys, I'd be pitting in this time, most likely. But he stays on the track. Bonzer and McKinney decide to come to pit road. Ooh, watch out, Blaze McKinney. Almost overshot there. But he does make up some time, so if he's not speeding, that may be a huge net gain for him. But he has to make sure he gets to his pit box safely. They're side by side down the pit lane, and if Blaze's pit stall is before Chase's, that could be a huge detriment, and you could see he has to slow down and give up that time. So both of them will get to their pit boxes safely. Now I wonder when the rest of you guys are going to come in here, especially the 14, the 98. Those two are Chase drivers. They need to make the best call for them, and there you see Salas is in.
Brinkley's
and
in,
there's
Kendrick,
Brinkley.
Papalardo, maybe even Malachi Drake. And indeed it is. They're all locking up the tires, trying to get slowed down at the pit speed limit. So now your race leader will be down pit road. Not sure who the driver who will file out as Kenny stays in. Aaron Brown goes in, also retain the race lead once again. So he's now on the back straightaway, looking to take all the spots on practically the top 7 that went down pit road altogether. So all of them in that group as well. Kuntz will most likely take over 2nd, which will be interesting. But the thing here is we'll see how the fresh tires manage, because here's Vicente coming off pit road now. He's got all the fresh rubber. The drivers who just pit, maybe they have a lap or 2 on those tires, and now it could potentially either put them on equal footing or could give them a little bit of a disparity compared to those drivers in the top 2 who are now already got the tires warmed up, running those laps. There's Bonzer, McKinney, so the 14 will try to merge in back to possibly 3rd, or you lose the spot to 4th, but will possibly pick it back up. So I think right now we're not seeing too many strategies kicking off one another. We're just seeing all the strategies kind of bunched up together, where the difference in tires isn't really as much as compared to maybe a different one if somebody tried a bolder strategy to stay out longer.
The drivers who got the advantage were the first ones to pit. That's the 99 and the 999. And they have about a second on each other. Alt has about a 1.5 seconds over Kuntz, and Kuntz has about a 1.5 seconds over Bonzer. So, oh, we got a spin.
Whoa.
It's Aaron Brown, and the caution is out. Caution
Brown
is on the raceway.
Aaron Brown, I believe, went around off turn 4. He was stopped there trying to merge back to the racetrack, and that indeed signals the first yellow of tonight's event at Kentucky Speedway. I was looking off of turn 4. All of a sudden, I see a car completely sideways down to the apron near the grass area. I'm not sure what might have happened here. We'll take a replay. This, I believe, might have been a solo car incident for Aaron Brown. Got off. This is off turn 4, and I think Oversteer might have gotten to him on the fresh tires. Locks it up, flat spots the tires, and trying to merge back to the racetrack at a slow speed. I think that was just enough for the yellow to be waved down in the front straight. I think the flagman saw that incomplete view, so he definitely knew a car was around. Aaron Brown had just gotten off the pit road, mind you, so he had just gotten those fresh tires and had contact with Mark Frimpong. Got doored there, but did save it. Then I guess trying to put the power back in. Got the oversteer. Tire spun out. He spins, tries to lock up the brakes around the Geico sign. And that's where the yellow is, but he did get damaged. I thought it was just a single car incident. I thought it was just him, but it turned out he had a little bit of help from Mark Frimpong, but he did save it, so it wasn't a complete disaster. Just the 11 tried getting back up, tried to pick up the speed that he lost with that contact, and inevitably went around. Also, update, Malachi Drake did get a pit road speeding penalty, but fortunately for him, I think he's getting his lap back now, so I think that was the perfect time for that 90 to get that wave around, be back in the lead lap, and not really have to deal with the issues surrounding that penalty.
Yes, a very timely caution for him, but I'm sure these top 5 wanted to see this play out under green, but this will set up what I'd say would be a shootout to the end of the stage. I know there's 19 laps to go as we ride under caution towards the end of the stage, but just with the way that this rules package is and how hard they're going to be going for positions for these stage points, I feel like this is going to be a shootout race to the end of the stage before they will be thinking about pitting again.
And all these drivers did pit around the same time, so we don't see any drivers who may have stayed out. As this yellow came out, go down pit road now, we have everyone cycled through practically pretty much all the way through this field. So we do see Alt, Coons, Bonser, all the drivers that went down pit road that were in the lead, now back up to the front. Bonser did lose. Coons did gain off this, I believe. Blaze might have lost as Vicente's there, stuck in the middle of those two as he went out of here. He did lose his spot to Bonser, but picked up on McKinney in the meantime. And while we're under yellow, it's a good point to remind you that if you want to join the conversation with us up in the KBRN booth, you can do so by using hashtag AskKBRN and put that hashtag with your question, of course with an appropriate reason. We'll be sure to answer it just as soon as you send it. Hashtag AskKBRN. You can ask anything. Up at lap number 43 of the 124 scheduled for tonight's coverage here at Kentucky Speedway in the Bluegrass State. Dylan Alt is your race leader. He has really yet to rescind that lead. He's been in the lead all night long. Took over the lead, had a little bit of damage, but interesting situation. Under that green flag cycle, he did not decide to get that damage fixed, so it's still there on the right rear. Don't believe it affects him as much as maybe we think it might, but it might just be a little bit of damage that doesn't really affect him too much. He can stay out of the racetrack. Won't have to worry too much about the performance. His performance in the aero will still be there for the most part. He'll still have a lot of that to rely on as we move forward. So now, as we're getting to 17 laps to go until the end of this stage, you did mention, Benjamin, it was going to be a shootout all the way through, as now everyone's on fresh tires. If you're the drivers like Bonser, like Kuntz, like Vicente, is there really kind of a comparison to what we saw on the opening green flag run where we saw lots of packs in together, we saw lots of pack racing? Will we expect to see that now? Could it be the benefit of both Kuntz, Bonser, or really anyone behind Alt?
I think Dylan's damage is going to hurt him a little bit when he runs in the pack. If he can keep the lead, then he'll probably end up winning the stage, but if he gets past, look for him to maybe fall through the field, maybe to around 5th, 6th, maybe. That's only if he's in traffic, though. If he stays out front, I feel like he can hold it.
Yeah, we'll just have to see as they're all doubled up. Pace car has them all together, so Alt will be the control car. He'll be the first to send everyone off for the green flag. Jordan Kuntz will be alongside on the outside of row number 1. Everyone in the top 5 are all playoff drivers split within Nick Miller. Then you have Andy McDowell there. And then you have to go a little bit further back to find playoff drivers Ryan Kendrick, Blaze Brinkley, Brody Garner as well, who are kind of the ladder drivers in this pit cycle. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens. Pace car car is down to the safety of pit road. It'll be Alt to be the control, and Kuntz right alongside as now the 99 decides to go, and we're back under green from Kentucky.
That really caught Jordan Kuntz sleeping, and now Bonzer goes up to the second spot. McKinney goes up to the third spot. You can see how spread out they are, Kenneth, going to turn one.
Way more separation than I probably would have imagined, as Kuntz did not have the best start, and now he is losing spots. Now possibly to Nick Miller through the top 5 as McKinney and Bonzer find their way through, and a little bit further down the road, there's McDowell, Latham Joyner, driving into Reese in the mix, trying to fight alongside with Vicente Salas, as they're still side by side for third, or at least for fourth right now.
Miller and Kuntz doing battle for that position. Blocking up front for the race lead. Bonzer just absolutely got cut off by Dylan Alt, but with that damage, Dylan has to throw every block he possibly can to hang on to these spots. Now, McKinney goes to the second spot. Will he have anything for our race leader?
McKinney now to the inside, going to try to find his way around the number 99 of Dylan Alt with the 81 in tow right behind. And Liz McKinney has found his way on a different team recently in the Redline Cup Series, or at least in every league for that matter. Was on Peak Performance Motorsports for a short time before they closed down. Went on SPG for a short time before they closed down. Now he's found a new home in Flying Arrows Racing, or Go Flying Arrows. So a good thing to see him back on a team. And for sure was expecting to see him on a new team before the season started for the Bunch of Lawn Care Series, and now in between this season he's found his way on a new team. Here's Vicente Salas as Kuntz looks to the bottom, almost blocking all the way down to the apron. Almost could have been close, but they continue to stay side by side between Miller and the 14 as they've caught up to the top 3.
Wow, what a stack up with the 81 there. 3 wide, Miller to the outside. Kuntz all the way, almost under the yellow line. They're 3 wide, or maybe even 4 wide heading to turn 3, but Joyner backs out of that, makes it only 3 wide now. Kuntz loses all momentum. He's going to get freight train here.
Maybe to the outside as McDowell finds his way there. Latham Joyner has decided to spoil the party of playoff drivers along with Nick Miller, so that duo is looking to go in the middle of all of them. They almost found their way to Bonzo, but now they're kind of scrunched up here as Alt still tries to defend. Kuntz trying to look 3 wide, almost contact between Salas and Latham Joyner, and still in a huge pack as McKinney and Bonzer, they're looking in their rearview mirror. They might be panicking just a little bit because there's a lot going on behind.
The wildest racing we've seen all night, no doubt about it. Alt somehow is able to hang on to the lead with that damage. Bonzer goes to the second spot. Will McKinney try and file in right now? He doesn't have time to. Here comes Salas to his inside for that third spot. Joyner up into the top 5 as he goes by Miller for the position.
And we don't really know what's the prevailing line because the inside seems to work at some points, the outside seems to work at some points. We're seeing different lines start to kick in at different times. McKinney tried to look to the bottom, not enough though for the 14, but here might be enough for a challenge on the race lead. Bonzer looks to the quarter panel on the outside. He's gotten to his door. They're fighting for the lead off turn 2.
This is the first time we've seen Bonzer actually contend for the lead all night. Here comes Salas, 3 wide into turn 3. Alt backs out of it, and we'll see how his car's going to handle in traffic here. This is the first time we've seen that. Now he does a crossover. Still 3 wide down the front straightaway. Where will Blaze McKinney go? And the rest of these guys have huge runs right now. Bonzer leads that lap just barely as they cross the start-finish line.
3 wide even in a turn 1 between Salas, Alt, and Bonzer. They're still sticking 3 as McKinney tries to find space to the bottom, maybe even 4 if he's got enough room. Maybe not going into turn 3. They're still 3 wide at the front. 3 playoff drivers looking for points, and most importantly, a stage win. Now Bonzer decides to back out. Here comes Latham Joyner for third as they're side by side. Salas back to the front of this field.
Now 3 wide for the second spot. Joyner takes it to the inside. This is the highest he's been all night so far as we work lap number 53. He tags the apron. Alt trying to hold the middle. Bonzer getting shoved up the racetrack. Near contact as they work down the back straightaway. But Joyner is holding his own on that inside. I'm pretty surprised to see that right now.
You really haven't seen him much on the inside tonight, but he's making it work for crucial positions. Now up to second. Maybe we'll have the nose over Alt. And you were right, we did not see Alt in traffic this entire race. So now with that spoiler damage, maybe even with that damage, maybe as he tagged the wall there, could be some interesting things to see in this pack. He seems to be holding up well, though. He has fallen back, but he's still holding his own now on the top as he's side by side with Chase Bonser now. Maybe almost single file, but Alt still, I think, struggling to find his way back up to the front. He's looking for crossovers in 3 and 4, which seems to have worked as they went 3 wide for about 2 or so laps. But now they've single filed out. I think everything seems to be tame a little bit more as Vicente holds the lead. Joyner looking still for second, actually pressuring the back bumper, and side by side for fourth between Miller and McKinney.
Joyner trying to challenge for the race lead. Alt trying to follow and maybe help him past his championship rival here. Joyner trying to hold the inside, but look at the drive that the 14 has through 3 and 4. He's able to stick it up in that middle line, and that's what's helping him maintain the lead right now. Now Alt will try and make a move around the 3 car right now, but the 3's doing a great job of holding his position.
Think about it, that 3 of Latham Joyner, he has nothing to lose up front. He is not contending for the championship. He's not really too close in points. So right now, what else is left? Just run for the win. That's really what that 3 might be looking for. And he really does not have anything to lose. He can go and take those risks. He can go and fight for the lead, be like this, be aggressive up front, and still have really no doubts about it, no regrets about it, because he's not running for a championship. Meanwhile, he's surrounded by playoff drivers all throughout. In Salas, Bonser, Alt, and maybe even McKinney as now Miller gets by. So that 3 is in an interesting spot in between drivers fighting for the championship. Remember, that's one last spot for the driver behind at 81 as we're coming to the end of the stage.
Every driver on the track has a right to race for position here, so I don't think anybody should really be against the 3 racing up here like he is. That really shouldn't be a question, but for Latham Joyner, this is the strongest run I've seen from him all season. I commend him for the run he's having right now. He might have a shot to win this stage. He needs to form a good run on Salas to get this done here. Salas has been the absolute dominant car when it comes to stage points and playoff points this season, so if he can pull this off, it's just adding more to his huge share of wealth, you might say.
You can hear just practically almost full throttle, having to lift just a little bit in 1 and 2. Still right there, trying to fend with Vicente, trying to get back up to the back bumper. You see looking 3 and 4 as we're on board in the immediate onboard camera. See how much you have to lift, how much you have to slow the car down in 3 and 4. Eagerly trying to put the throttle back in, kind of drifting back up the racetrack. Seems to be one of the things that's affecting a lot of these drivers as we go on. And speaking of which, he did make that space as Bonser now finds his way to the bottom. So we are on the final lap of stage number 2. Salas is trying to run away with this at the moment. Latham Joyner still trying to defend for a second. He's still got it. The question is, can he really catch up to the race leader in time to try and contend for the stage 1? He might have one more shot here.
Salas takes that defensive line into turn 3, and that's wraps for the stage. Salas will come off of turn number 4 to pick up one of his many stage wins this season. So congrats to the 14 on that, just adding to his huge bonus points total. 3 wide across the line for 4th. McKinney making some moves for points.
This is for points, so you got to do anything you can. All tried that last-ditch effort. Actually might have made it work, but now he's getting swarmed by other playoff drivers behind. McKinney now finding his way to the inside. Bonser now falls back through this top 5. Might even fall positions to Papalardo, Cruz, maybe even Miller along this way. If he does fall back even further, I think he's holding his own for now. Remember, now we're up to this run once again. We started our cycle at about lap number 36, where we saw some of the leaders decide to go down pit road. Now we're going another 30 to, I'd say, 35, 37 laps, maybe even 40 if it stretch it that long, as Latham Joyner tries to look to the inside for the race lead. But now, soon enough, Benjamin, we'll see drivers going down pit road having to do so. As close between Joyner and Salas there, almost got Alt in the process. Alt really had to check up for that one. He's going to fall through this top 5 or top 7.
Wow. And that's really going to put him into a hole with his damage. So this is the worst case scenario for him. Joyner got tight down the inside of 3 and 4, and drivers have been reporting the car's plowing. It's a plow box all night long, so it's no surprise to see that sort of contact, especially in these big groups where you're all on top of each other. One driver gets tight, and you just can't turn the car. You're liable to hit somebody. So how about Papalardo going for the 3rd spot? Highest we've seen Guy all night here.
And that is the highest we've seen him now, fighting for 3rd with Latham Joyner. And we're seeing these non-playoff drivers start to make their way up. Speaking of which, Braxton DeWeese is now to 7th in this top 10. Boy, have we really not seen him in this top 5, maybe even top 10. He was in the top 15 last time we spoke about him, but now he's starting to charge his way through the field. So we're seeing drivers that are not part of the playoffs, don't have any chance to go for the championship, just going to go for the win. That seems to be the most important part, as Bonser's now starting to lose ground possibly. Miller's in this group as well. McKinney has found his way to 2nd, and here comes Guy for 2nd.
What a charge to this field he's making right now. He's on the back bumper of the 14 as they work down the back straightaway. Will he try and make a move going to turn 3, or will he ride behind? McKinney also right on his bumper. Papalardo chooses the outside line to go. Very interesting choice for him, and now he's going to pay the price as McKinney takes that 2nd spot.
McKinney back to 2nd. We're just going to see when these drivers will go down pit road, because you have to expect it's going to be within the next 5 to 7 laps, maybe even, to see those drivers go down pit road, continue the green flag run, because we've only had 1 yellow, but even in that yellow, we had that pit cycle already done with, and just a short time before that yellow, so we didn't see anyone go down pit road. We did not see any strategies change up. Everyone's practically on the same page here, so we're going to see these drivers start to make their way down and have to stay, because they can't make it all the way through, and even then, they can't even make it all the way to the end of this race. They'll still have to pit at least 1 more time.
Now mostly a single file line through here. There's a few battles for position around this top 10 area. DeWeese the only one out of line right now, but that'll switch as they go to turn 3. Most drivers will shift to the inside. Battle for the race lead. McKinney's under Salas for that spot. But Salas, again, with that drive off, is just doing such a great job of hanging on, and he throws the block down the front straight away.
We saw Salas obviously 3 wide with the leaders, which was very fun to watch. I'm surprised they held it for that long, but even then, he's got that move off turn 4 where drivers start to make moves. They start to try to arc their way to the inside, try to get under the race leader, but that 14 just has enough in that middle lane, has enough where he's at as Bonser's loose right there at the front of this field. He does save it though with a 3 wide contact, I believe, with Kuntz, so Kuntz does have significant damage to the left front. That's going to hurt him a lot now as he's losing spots to Kendrick, to Bonser, maybe even Garner as they're starting to go to turn 1, 3 wide.
Worst case scenario for the 999 and the 81, but mostly the 999, who has plenty of front end damage here. This is going to aerodynamically affect him in a bad way, so this is a very bad situation for this 999 here.
And at the worst point too, because now we're seeing more playoff drivers start to make their way. Brody Garner, we have not seen him all night long up within this top 10, but he's found his way in here in this part of this race, so he might also have a shot to get around 4 points, and that could be losses for Kuntz down the road with that damage. It's certainly not going to help him in the long run as the tires start to wear out, because that aero damage does not help with the grip on that race car. Speaking of which, up front, Guy Papalardo is found to the inside of Vicente Salas. Could be the actual move for the lead. Vicente does have to run off the corner, so he'll hit the crossover move, Allen Iverson style, go all the way to the bottom of the apron for the race lead as McKinney tries to go for the 3rd.
Huge run from the 9 car here tonight. Well, we have more news to report on the 99. Dylan Alt has sustained more damage, so one of our early stage winners having plenty of problems. You can see the front end damage right there, that left front. He's going to be plowing more than the rest of these drivers the rest of this race, I can tell you that. As now cars start to come to the pit lane. That's Nick Miller, the first one to take to pit service.
Miller also with door damage, but he's the first one to go down pit road, so he's starting this strategy. Remember, we did see Miller do something like this at Chicagoland, where he pulled out a strategy that was way out of left field, but still managed to execute it perfectly and took the win. His first win of the season there at Chicagoland. He's the first one to pit this time. Have yet to see anyone else lurk down a pit road, start to slow down, maybe even signal that they're going down. Actually, Latham Joyner will be the next one by, so as the rest of the field starts in a pack, here comes Joyner, and now here comes Kuntz with all that damage. We'll see how much time he loses down pit road.
And what was such a good early run for Kuntz might go down into the gutter just based on that damage, especially if we have a long green flag run. It's going to be hard for him to maintain pace. Right now, Papalardo, though, has retaken the lead. Salas to second, McKinney to third. We'll see if any of them decide to pit. They do not take to the pit lane. Nobody up here in this top 10 does. So they're trying to stretch it maybe to the end of the fuel window here as Joyner will exit his pit stall and Kuntz will do the same. We'll see how they will come out in reference with Nick Miller there, but here's a battle for the second spot. McKinney goes under Salas, but we'll see if Salas gets that drive off that we've been seeing from him all night long. No, he just slots in line there, so as the tires begin to wear out, that may hurt him a little bit trying to get drive off the outside.
And at some points, you will see drivers try to duck for pit road, at least trying to go all the way to the yellow line in order to hit that hotkey, let everyone else know that you're going down pit road over the radio. But in cases like that, sometimes you're fighting for position. Maybe a driver is trying to get around you. You're on the outside. All of a sudden, you have nowhere to go, but you have to check up. You have to hit the brakes. You have to slow that race car down in order to take that, or at least you'll lose that position. Could be even freight trained by more drivers, and then all of a sudden you're slowing down in a long line of drivers on the bottom, trying to find some space to go down pit road. There is McKinney now running for the race lead. I'm not sure whether we've seen anyone else go down pit road apart from about the 3 cars we saw. There's Miller. We're seeing Latham Joyner, Jordan Kuntz. Saw a couple of drivers, but don't think anyone else has decided to go down pit road. So now McKinney to the front of this field. Nobody else has decided to go down, so they'll stay out. Actually, Bonser, I think Bonser might have missed his pit stall because, or at least missed pit road because he slowed down incredibly there, trying to slow down for pit road and had a moment there and just missed it completely. That's going to lose him a lot of time now as he loses spots. That's really not going to help him furthermore. That is really going to hurt his run. It's going to hurt the amount of ground he can gain. He'll lose a lot more as McKinney, leader, goes down pit road. Dylan also goes down pit road, so Salas, Papalardo do stay out. Braxton DeWeese, Garner, Brinkley also decide to stay out as well. Ryan Kendrick, Sam King also in that group as well. As Bonser missed a pit stall, he's going to continue out on the racetrack. Now we'll just have to see where McKinney and Alt stack up, or will Alt decide to fix that damage on that race car that he accrued just a little bit earlier. Still under green flag as Papalardo continues to lead. Salas has fallen back, but maybe so even in this long run, just to set up that move to pit road, make sure that he's got enough what he needs, make sure he's all clear to the other drivers, make sure he's moved down, but people will battle for third as Brinkley and Garner try to fight for the podium spot. Remember, did see a couple drivers go down pit road. Don't think these drivers have yet, but they might be the next ones to do so, as I think they're starting to slow down. Actually, Vicente slows down, so Vicente will be heading down pit road. You have to be ham on the brakes in order to make the pit road speed limit, but a lot more separation in this strategy dog, or Benjamin, than I would have expected.
Yeah, I'm surprised with the gaps between the laps that the first car did and when the last car is going to. It's a lot larger than the first hit cycle, so we'll see how that difference is going to fare for these drivers. If I'm Papalardo or any of these guys, I'd be in the next 1, 2, 3 laps here. But what we are hearing, Kenneth, is some people actually can make it on 1 stop instead of 2 stops.
Whoa, Frimpong is around on the entrance of pit road. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Benjamin, but that was an interesting situation, just trying to slow down on the race car, and now has more damage to the front of that Camry, so you'll have to try to find a way around that, I suppose. But I guess. Oh no.
I'm sorry, but Bonser had to tow his car. He ran out of gas. So one of our chase drivers has towed his car because he ran out of gas. That is such an unfortunate break.
And I was just talking about him a little bit earlier because earlier in this race, he tried to slow down, go down a pit road, but I think he just missed it, thought he was going too fast, and decided to stay out. And I think maybe he was just electing to stay out with the group and wait for them to go down pit road, but that did not help him at all. Unfortunate. That's going to put him in a deep hole going into Darlington. Remember, it's only 2 races in these playoffs for each round. So if you have a bad first race, that second race could easily just be you just trying to get your back off the wall, try to dig back up from the hole you have in the first race. That's really not going to help Monster's case at all, as he's going to lose a lot of points to drivers that are still out that have completed their pit cycle on lap number 83. Alts most likely will be the driver to retain the lead. He just, I believe, just took the lead over, or actually just unlapped himself from Malachi, Corey Hartz, Latham Joyner down the racetrack. Hartz is now down pit road. Malachi is also down pit road, so we'll start to file our way through. I think the leader will be later.
There's your leader.
By.
That's your leader right there off this pit cycle. Wow.
Very interesting. I think a very good call by the 3. Remember, he has nothing to lose here on this pit strategy. He can do whatever he can just to win this race, and if that's what he's got to do, then that puts him in the best spot, and it is putting him in the best spot because he will cycle around to the race lead this time around. Jordan Kuntz will file through to second. So although he has that damage, it could potentially help him if we have a yellow, but Alt and McKinney are starting to catch up at a rapid pace. No pun intended with the leader.
Oh, man. I knew we'd slip one of those in on this broadcast, but this is really good for Joyner. If he can win the race with this strategy, I know there's plenty of time left, but he's got a very manageable gap here over the rest of his competitors. So we'll see if they can run him down right now, but gap isn't shrinking too much, Kenneth.
It's about 2.5 seconds, or 2.3 last time around between Kuntz and Joyner, but now Alt and McKinney, those drivers are on the fresher tires. They did pit a little bit later, Benjamin, so we do see a difference now as the 99 does get by the 999 around, so he'll go to second, try to catch up to the leader. But I think the best thing about Joyner's strategy here, Benjamin, is that you have these drivers on fresh tires now with the gap. However, Dylan Alt could try to use all of his tires trying to catch up to Latham Joyner because the difference isn't too many laps. So it won't be too much of an advantage for that 99 compared to the 3. So we'll have the gap shrink, but it probably will take a little bit before Alt slows down as his tires start to wear. Also with Latham, but that advantage for that 99 won't last too long in this racetrack.
And don't forget, mind you, he has damage both on the left front and the right rear, so that is harming him in some way, but he's still running better lap times than the 3 car. Not sure if the 3 car is saving right now for when Alt catches up to him, or if the 99 is just faster on the racetrack right now. Here's a lap car trying to get one of his laps back. That's Mark Frimpong, who went for a spin earlier.
Went for a ride on the entrance of pit road, trying to slow the car down, is now trying to unlap himself from the race leader, has yet to find his way by, but could be a little bit of a buffer between Joyner and Alt as Alt tries to get up. Maybe could force his issue down low, but could see that happen as that 53 is just trying to get by, but he just can't find it. He also does have damage, so that does affect his speed on the straightaways as opposed to the corners, as maybe contact. Boy, it is very rigorous up here with the leader and a lap car, but that does help Alt, and now within a second of the race leader.
Even with that damage, Kenneth, he is flying right now. He cut it down from 2.5 seconds to about a half second in about 4 laps right there. So blazing pace right now, trying to catch up to our leader Latham Joyner, who was the second car to come in on the cycle. Nick Miller was the first. Not sure where he is right now on the racetrack, but now we have a battle for the race lead, and I think Latham will concede at this point with Alt having those fresher tires.
No space up there, and now they're still side by side, trying to find their way around Frimpong. He's still in the way of the leaders, but now the 99 will find his way through. So new race leader Dylan Alt back up to the front. Joyner will be second, and Blaze McKinney, who I'm surprised went on that same pitch strategy as Dylan Alt, not found his way up, maybe just trying to save for the moment, trying to be a little bit slower now so he can be faster later through this run. Just should a yellow not come out and should we stay under green. There's Peter Kenny, he's a lap car, so he's getting around. This is not pole position. And now Joyner will find his way to second. Kuntz maintains fourth, but maybe not for long, as Vicente will try to find his way around. Pit cycle already concluded. We'll take a short break and we'll step aside. You are watching the Redline Cup Series playoffs from Kentucky in the Bluegrass State on the KBueno Racing Network. Don't go anywhere. We've got more coming next. Coverage of the Redline Cup Series is brought to you by iRacing. Start your sim racing career today. iRacing by Media. Graphic design done on Instagram. And by Supermix. Concrete blocks on demand. Back here live from the Kentucky Speedway to lead this race, but might be a challenge, maybe even a three-car battle, as Latham Joyner, last time you saw him, did get passed by Dylan All. Lloyd Joyner has fallen back to fourth. Kuntz all the way back to fifth, but now McKinney has found his way up. Vicente has also found his way up to the top three. So, Benjamin, we're seeing a three-car battle, possibly for the race win.
Yes, 14 and 15 are in the catbird seat without damage because 99 has plenty of damage on both sides of the race car. So it's really going to hurt him on the long run. I think the 15 and the 14 will both be able to get by him on the long run. And that's only because of that damage. If he didn't have damage, then he'd probably be pulling away right now. Definitely the strongest car here at Kentucky, but with that damage, he's been set back a little bit.
Also an update on the playoff drivers. Sam King has been reported to speeding on pit road that last cycle by, so he is now one lap down in 18th place respectively. Miller, as we saw, was the first driver to pit on that pit cycle. Actually just decided to end his night. He's 11 laps down or now, I believe 16 now, 21st, last driver on the grid. Now on pit road, his night is over for sure. But another playoff driver having struggles, Benjamin, and that really does not set your tone right. King was kind of in a normal position. I think he was between the top 15, maybe top 20. Wasn't necessarily the fastest car on the track, but that could have been points as Sal is slowing down for pit road. Now we're starting to cycle all over again.
And we're hearing one car is definitely good on fuel. That's Peter Kenny. The other driver who may be good on gas to the end, that's Corey Hart in the 57. Those two are the only ones that, according to league admin Cody Webster. Those are the only two that say they can make it to the end. So if this goes green to the end and they save enough gas, this could be turned on its head.
And we won't see those top three be the fastest anymore. It could be Kenny Hart stretch it all the way if they put all that distance. As Latham went down pit road, Jordan Kuntz went down pit road. You see Vicente Salas was trying to signal all of this as I think actually Alt did go down pit road as well. So Alt is now down pit road. McKinney will stay out, so that'll give him the race lead. The two Blazes up front as Brinkley finds his way to second. Guy up to Carpelardo up to third. So now we're seeing a lot of drivers shuffle in, but look who's in the top four. Brody Garner found his way through this field, was not really the strongest car in the early going, but as soon as this race started to develop even further and evolve, Garner has been there. You can't really count him out either because he's been just kind of sneaking on the rest of these drivers. Hasn't really been in the top three, hasn't really been in the lead, hasn't made some amazing moves, but you know, G's moving silence like lasagna. You got to move the best way you can. You could just kind of sneakily move your way in and get some points over drivers that have already had bad nights.
That's what you're going to see throughout this chase, people capitalizing on other people's mistakes. The 27, who entered way above the cut line, is now probably going to be below exiting this race because, if I have this right, he did not score any stage points either, so it has not been the night that Sam King is probably accustomed to having right now, as he currently runs 18th a lap down, partially because of that speeding penalty, but we just haven't seen the pace from Sam all night. Very surprised to see that after running very strong at similar 1.5-mile tracks like Texas where he won. So, quite surprised to see that.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see that Sam King wasn't really quick at Kentucky, and also in the other intermediates where he's done well. Obviously, Texas where he picked up that win. You saw prominent runs from him on those 1.5 miles, so it is kind of a different scenario, not seeing him fighting for the win, not seeing him up here, not seeing him fighting for the top three, which you have seen practically all night. You saw now as Dylan Alt makes his way down pit road, you saw Latham down pit road, Kuntz saw Vicente there on pit road as well. McKinney has elected to stay out, so he is maybe stretching this a little bit further. Not sure whether he can make it all the way on fuel. I don't think he can, but maybe just looking for a later situation. Possibly you could also look for a yellow, because if a yellow comes out, you can find your way down pit road. You'll have the freshest tires. You'll have the freshest stuff out of everyone in the field as this run continues to go on. And Guy Papalardo in second. He's also staying out. Brody Garner, DeWeese as well. Andy McDowell. Here's a little three-car battle here for fourth between DeWeese, Kendrick, and McDowell. Two of those proximity drivers. And DeWeese all the way in front of that big position.
If a caution flag comes out, this is going to be an absolute shootout. Remember that start to that second early run? That is exactly what you're going to see coming to the end of this race. Just hard, three-wide stack racing.
Yeah, that's certainly what we're expecting. As the yellow comes out, everyone can go down for, remember, 3 extra sets on these cars, so they have tires, and that also could be something to watch for, is whether drivers have sets left on, or at least have enough sets to dispose on pit road, whether they're able to go down pit road and take tires, or whether they're just able to have fuel. It's unlimited fuel, so no limits on how much fuel they can really put in their race car over the course of the evening, but you have a limit on how many tires you can put on that race car. So you could possibly see drivers go for 2, maybe even no tires. Maybe different strategies could play out if you have a yellow, or even if we stay green. Just running all the way to the end of this race. 16 laps to go this time, maybe even 15 the next time we cross the start-finish line as McKinney gets around Peter Kenny. He puts him lap down. And now, Benjamin, it's just a call. Are you banking on a yellow for some drivers, or maybe if you're in McKinney's spot, are you just hoping this stays green to the end where you can save enough, as maybe not enough as Vicente trying to unlap himself on first tires. Wow.
They almost just totally ran over Peter Kenny right there. And they try to unlap themselves around these leaders right here. Blaze McKinney will concede to both of those guys, give them their lap back. So I would expect McKinney at any point now.
Also, also got a couple drivers. There's Malachi Drake, who had that speeding penalty a little earlier, but kind of escaped that due to the yellow that came shortly after that penalty. So he got his lap back. He was able to get back up to the lead lap, and now under the strategy, he is sitting third right behind Casey Drake. Maybe could be second if he's able to find his way around through this long run. Corey Hartz, you mentioned, Benjamin, is possibly good on field to the end if he saves enough. If he does not, then obviously he'll just run out to the end. He'll have to go down pit road, but depends on how much he's deciding to stay in. We'll look at a cockpit cam because sometimes drivers could engage the clutch, try to limit. You see just going half throttle on the entrance of turn 1. He is going fairly slow, so you can tell he's saving on that race car. He is the driver saving as Alt and Vicente kind of in a tandem. Now 3 wide as Alt may be going for position as they unlap themselves.
They're actually passing Hartz for position here, so Hartz and Peter will not win the race doing this, but they may have a huge net gain by the end of it. As you can see now, pit stops underway for some cars in the pit lane right now.
That's McKinney in the 15, so anytime you mention now, that time is now for McKinney. Is now he's gone to pit road, so it's leaving these two up front here. Drake and, well, the two Drakes actually, Casey Drake, Malachi Drake. How much time do they really have left now, or will they just go down pit road? That will give the lead to Alt and Vicente. So as this stays green, these two will be the drivers to cycle all the way to first and second by the end of this race now with just 13 laps to go. Well, that was a really crucial pass for Alt. That could be the game changer. That could be the race winner move, the race winning move for Alt, because he got by them as they were going from position. They already had unlapped themselves. The 99 found that opening, got to the inside. Now he's holding position. If they get around the two Drakes up in front, which they'll be sure to catch very soon, it could be a situation of just Alt having to hold off and be on the defense for that 14 rather than having to pass him later when things start to really crunch down and the time is not really there or given to you.
I'm just surprised with the amount of damage he has. He's still that fast. Just shows you how good he is here at Kentucky Speedway. But looking up front here, Malachi Drake has taken the lead, but I really don't know if these two can make it on gas. If they can, it'll be close to see if they can win or not, but if they can't, they're just hoping for a caution. I haven't heard any, Kenneth, I haven't heard any reports on what their fuel situations are, so if I hear one, I will say it here, but as of right now, it's uncertain for these two.
There's Blaze McKinney, we saw go down pit road just a little bit earlier, so he's falling back to 10th. Could possibly not be the strategy that he wanted. He was probably looking for a yellow flag at some point before he would have to go down pit road. So he could still get in top 10 out of this. There's still some drivers who are fairly slower up ahead. He's got fresher tires in them, so he can still count on those drivers. But the question is, how much time does he really have to make those moves? As the two Drakes up front, they're now entering turn 1. Alt is now on the front straightaway. So this is now going to be the battle for the race win, definitely, as they're starting to catch up. They've got 8 laps to do so. If they don't have any buffers, if they don't have any setbacks, this will be the winning move for Dylan Alt if Salas is not able to get by. They're catching them very, very quickly. Drake's just got to hold on.
It's still, with the rate that he's catching them, it still is going to be close. I think if he has enough gas and the rate that he's catching is maintained, Malachi Drake has this race won. That's if he has enough gas. We still have no idea what his fuel situation is.
We still don't know. Look at him all the way to the top. I don't even think he's using full throttle really many points across this racetrack. And also Casey, those two are the drivers who did stay out. Those are the standalone drivers, so it is just very close. And even with Dylan Alt and Vicente slowly trying to get by, he could hold on because time will probably not allow Alt or Salas to catch these two. Maybe get by around Casey, but maybe not around Drake. or maybe not around Malachi at least.
Whoa! Malachi's right on the number. He is right on the number to make it on gas. This could be a winning strategy for the 90 car. We'll see if he's able to save enough. But huge development right now.
So I think he's got this. He could have this. This could be the winning move on pit strategy. Remember, Malachi is not uncommon to fuel strategies that give him the win. Remember, Homestead in Ice Car in the Truck Series, I think just earlier this year, he had a pitch strategy that gave him the win. I don't know if you can correct me if I'm wrong there, Benjamin, but had a fuel strategy move that gave him the win. As now Casey decides to go down pit road. He's done. He cannot make it all the way on gas. Malachi staying out, alt second, but Malachi just trying to hold on 5 laps to go at this time around.
The gap is only 5.3 seconds. At the rate that Dylan's been catching him, he's going to be about a half second short. But we'll see exactly what the fuel situation is here for the 90. Will he be able to save enough gas? We're being told he is right on the number to make it on gas to the end here. You can see how slow he is down the front straightaway, just trying to hang on to this and save gas here. So we'll see exactly right now as we have taken 4 laps to go. Alt takes another second out of that race lead. Will Malachi Drake be able to save enough gas?
Oh man, and if he's right on the number, he has to, because right now you could just tell the difference between Drake and Alt. So Drake is just currently half throttle. He's really just being cautious with the amount of gas he puts in. Meanwhile, Alt and Salas are full in. They are all in. They're all good. They know they're good to the end. They have also the tires to supplement. So it's just a matter of time. 3 laps to go this time by. There's Peter Kenny going around. I think he has unlapped himself on the track. But all eyes and the spotlight is on that Redline Racing League machine, trying to limp his way around on fumes to try to get to this finish. 2.9 seconds this time.
This is going to be so close, Kenneth, here. We're coming 2 laps to go. Cross the line. 2 laps of racing to go. What is the gap here between Malachi Drake and Dylan Alt? That last time by, 2.6 seconds. So that rate has actually been smaller, which means Malachi might be on the gas. He may be confident that he can make it to the end here, coming to the white flag.
Yeah, he is. He is full on the throttle, but he does not have the grip on the tires. But now since he's on the number, he can be as aggressive as he wants. As now he's going to come off turn 4 one more time around from the Bluegrass State for Malachi Drake.
Does he have enough gas? Will these two be able to catch him right now on the racetrack? The gap is 2.03 seconds. Malachi through 1 and 2 for the final time. We've seen him win a championship off of fuel saving before. There's those two at full soar down the back straightaway, but they head to turn 3. Malachi looks like he might have enough gas. What a job of fuel saving here as he comes off turn 4. Is he out? Oh man, this is gonna be close.
Here comes Malachi. He's going to get a push from Aaron to the line, but it's Malachi. All does not get there in time, and on fumes, on sputtering engine, Malachi Drake is a winner here at Kentucky. And the Redline Racing League machine had a pit road speeding penalty earlier in this race, escaped it off of a quick yellow, and on this fuel strategy as we go green to the end, Malachi wins. What a finish. I thought I almost had him.
That was insane. He has to be thanking his teammate Aaron Brown so much right now because Aaron gave him the push to cross the start-finish line in front of the 99. That is crazy. Never in a million years would I have expected it to turn out that way. He runs out off turn 4, and somehow, magically, his teammate is there to give him the winning bump across the start-finish line. What a story right there. Well, but for Malachi Drake, he's done this before. He's familiar with fuel saving, Kenneth, and now it's gotten him a win here this season. Huge congratulations for the 90. That's awesome.
Outstanding victory on fuel strategy. We never really expected. He does not have enough gas to even attempt a burnout, but he's just going to try to celebrate the most he can right in front of the virtual fans here at Kentucky. Does not have enough gas, but imagine if Aaron Brown was not there to give him that push. And we're going to look at the replay because that was too great not to look back on. For Malachi, who's going back to the line.
Oh man, you have to see this. This is something else, folks. Watch him off turn 4. I'm congratulating him at this point, and then he runs out, and I get concerned for him, but Aaron Brown, his teammate, knows the situation and gives him that winning bump across the start-finish line. If Aaron Brown's not there, I don't think he ends up winning, because he just is going to be too short on gas, I think, because Alt and Salas were coming at full song. I mean, it would have been even closer if not for that, but that is one unbelievable finish here tonight. But it hurts for Dylan and Vicente not to even have a shot to battle each other for the win because, well, there's a car saving fuel that just out-strategized all the guys. But just what a heck of a win. What a heck of a race, Kenneth. This is by far one of my favorites to call this season.
And look at that. If the start-finish line was just about 150 feet maybe further down, Alt would have had this win. And even then, it would have been barely to Malachi Drake. Unbelievable finish here at Kentucky. I was not expecting that. I was expecting Alt and Salas to kind of run away with this, be the top two to fight for the win. It still would have been interesting regardless because they have been so competitive tonight. But then seeing Malachi and Casey stay out, see how that develops, and then Casey decides to bin it. He does not have enough to go down, and then all of a sudden, Malachi is able to walk away with a win here at Kentucky Speedway. We're going to take a short break, and as soon as we come back, we'll have more coverage from the Bluegrass State and the Kentucky Speedway as we'll kick off our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC, and we'll have interviews and more. Once we return, you are watching the Redline Cup Series playoffs from Kentucky right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Welcome back to the Kentucky Speedway where we kick off our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC. What a finish we had here. I think we're still wrapping our heads around what that was, really all the way to the end. Malachi Drake saved enough fuel, was on fumes, and picked up the win here at Kentucky. That was his first win of the season, but it was well-deserved really with that finish and how much he had done. It was really something we did not expect with Malachi Drake and Casey Drake both saving. Then Casey decides to go down pit road. Malachi saves enough, and he is your winner tonight. And we're going to bring him in from victory lane. Surely must be an entertaining win for that number 90 machine. And Malachi now visiting you in victory lane. Really no words to describe this finish here with you, and we really did not expect this to happen. Saw you got that speeding penalty earlier in the race, but you got helped and you got saved by the bell with that quick yellow with Aaron Brown. You come back on the lead lap, you find your way through this pit strategy, and you save enough. What was going through your head and behind the cockpit, and really the strategist's mind going to the end of that race to take this victory tonight?
Well, I thought whenever I sped pit load, I'm like, oh, I'm done. And then as I was exiting from the speeding, I got lucky that there was a caution right afterwards. So then that back on the lead lap, and then I was looking at the numbers, and I'm like, I think if I come in and top off, I have the chance to make it to the end. And from the moment that that restart happened, I was saving pretty hard to try to stretch the fuel, and then to make it just on that one stop. And I barely made it, and I could thank my teammates for helping me figure up the numbers and the gaps to the cars on new tires and fuel. So that was really stressful.
I can imagine that must have been nerve-wracking for you, especially with you looking at the relatives, seeing Dylan Alt, Vicente Salas slowly catching each and every lap. How much was the worry there about Alt and Salas catching up to you, and were you really confident that you were able to save enough, or was it really just kind of going as it went and trying to save enough and trying to hit the number right?
Well, I was doing the math, and I kept thinking that if I can keep this pace, I'm gonna be like right there. I may pass the finish line and then run out, or I may run out just short of it. And I ended up running out about 50 feet from the line, but luckily I had just enough gap that they couldn't catch up to me as I kind of coasted to the line. So I got lucky there that they were just a little too far back. But those last two laps were probably the most nerve-wracking because I had to really, really save to make sure I made it. And I could see the relatives just closing in really fast. So that was stressful.
Well, certainly that stress got you a victory, and it really paid off in the end. Malachi, before we let you go from victory lane, which people do you have to thank, or what teams, or really anyone you just like to give a shout out to for your victory tonight at Kentucky?
I got to thank Casey Drake and Aaron Brown for helping me figure out that strategy whenever it seemed like I could make it. Casey helped me with numbers, and then Aaron was a lap down, and he let me kind of draft off him to help save some fuel too. So I kind of credit the team somewhat for this win too, because of that extra draft support when I was still on the track. So I got to thank them a lot, and thank you guys for broadcasting.
We appreciate the support, Malachi. Of course, we appreciate the time, and congratulations on an outstanding victory here at Kentucky. We really hope to see you now next week coming to Darlington. I know that's going to be a lot of fun, but enjoy your win, man. I know it must feel sweet.
All right. Thank you.
Malachi Drake, your winner here from Kentucky. Going over to second place and just short of the win on the freshest tires and enough fuel was Dylan Alt in the number 42. Benjamin A. White is right alongside him on pit road.
I've caught up with Dylan Alt, and Dylan, you've led 57 laps, won a stage, but it just wasn't enough here tonight. How nerve-wracking was those last 10 laps?
Those last 10 laps, I didn't know what was going to happen. I like, half of me wanted Malachi to win just because it was an insane play that he did that I wouldn't have been able to do because I cannot do a strategy like that. But yeah, good win to freaking Malachi. But if I knew that he was going to run out on the last lap, I should have pushed earlier in that run way harder, and I probably could have won that by more than a second. But me and Vicente were racing each other for not that long, but I just stayed behind him to save because I thought he was my only competition to end that run. I didn't think anyone was going to save as much fuel as Malachi did, but yeah, good win to him.
Well, you saw you just absolutely dominate the race early, and then you got some sort of damage both on the right rear and the left front. How'd you get the damage on the car there?
So at the first stage, I'm just going for points for the stage wins because for the whole entire season, I've just been going for stage wins, and I don't know how, but I just can't get the car to the end to the victory lane. But um, after a while, I was catching up to Michael DiMaggio, and he was a lap car, and I went under him in 3 and 4. Or no, he let me in 1 and 2, but he had a huge run coming down on the backstretch. But I let off early to save my right front. He sent it in so deep into the corner, hit my right rear, and sent me sideways. But I kept the lead, and that was my right rear damage. You said that I had left rear or
Left front.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't have any damage, but Latham Joyner, we were just battling hard, and I think we neck coded, and when we were racing Vicente for the lead. But yeah, that was it. It didn't really affect me the whole entire race.
Yeah, we saw it was visible, but I guess it didn't hurt you in the end. But good points night for you. Won a stage, and overall is going to put you way above the cut line. So it ought to feel good here, just coming out with a good points night.
Yeah, it is good for a good points night, but I wish that was a win so badly because I suck at Darlington.
Well, I'm going to throw you the mic one more time. Do you have any sponsors or anybody that you just want to thank?
No, it was a good race, and you guys to broadcasting that.
All right, well, we'll see you next week. Good luck at the next racetrack. What you said was Darlington, correct?
Yep. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll see you at Darlington.
Thank you.
That's Dylan Alt finishing P number 2 tonight, just short of the victory behind Malachi Drake. Gonna look to P3 in the podium spot, where I've caught up with Vicente Salas, the last week's winner, so he comes up with a podium finish here tonight. And Vicente, we just talked to you last week in your win at Martinsville, and obviously you had that head of steam going into these playoffs. You go in here in Kentucky, you come home P3, and now through this round, how much does this really boost you and boost your team's mindset now going into Darlington? You've got this good finish now under your belt.
Well, I mean, this track has never been one of my best. I think it was very, very key to get a good finish here and to be able to bring it home third. I think if me and Dylan didn't battle as hard there, that we could have gotten to Malachi. But I mean, good win to him, and props for playing that strategy.
Certainly was the strategy that kind of threw a lot of people off, including ourselves. But Vicente, you were in tandem with Dylan Alt, and we were kind of expecting that you guys are going to be the one to come out on top, be the 1 and 2 drivers fighting for the win. Didn't turn out to be the case because Malachi was staying out and was pretty much on fumes to the end. What was really the biggest concern about this fuel strategy before Malachi ended up staying out? What was really the biggest goal in terms of that pit strategy in order to try and get a win here tonight if Malachi didn't stay out?
Well, honestly, I was thinking about that same strategy that Malachi pulled, and I calculated it, and for me, my calculations, it was about 5 to 6 laps of fuel I needed to save. And I could have done that if I just ran like 85% throttle down the straightaways, coasted through the corners. But with the way this format and the races have turned out, that strategy has just never worked. And I've tried the saving strategy and really saving hard at all the other 1.5 miles, and it never really turned out well for me just because it put me so far behind. So I think my concern with that strategy was just being behind and losing a bunch of track position. So I decided to push hard and really get what I could out of it. Short pitted Dylan. He got out behind me. I let him go and just could never really get back by him. But yeah, I think with the situation I'm in right now, just to get a third place and bring it home was definitely the biggest factor.
You come home on a podium spot here tonight, Vicente, and certainly that keeps you at the top of the championship standings, and you're easily comfortable now going into Darlington. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd just like to thank, any team sponsors, or just any shout-outs you'd just like to give on the mic before we let you go here?
Yes, I'd love to thank everybody at Elliott Sadler Esports, Josh Kosick for painting my amazing car, Hansky Gloves, Stroker Industries. I mean, all the competition this race. I feel like this race was really, really awesome, and it had a great turnout, and it was really fun. Cody for putting on the league, and obviously you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Well, support is appreciated, Vicente. Of course, we thank you for taking the time to talk with us, and now we just wish you the best of luck now going into Darlington next week.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
That's Vicente Salas, third place finisher here tonight from Kentucky. Going to look back to fourth place, and Blaze McKinney is going to be trackside with Benjamin White.
Blaze McKinney, you got a copy, sir.
Yep, I gotcha.
Well, great points night for you. You exit here third in points with, it looks like, let me get the calculations here. That's a 18-point buffer above the cut line. So good stage points for you here tonight. Just how was the car overall in the race? How was it handling out there on the racetrack?
It was pretty good most of the race. Early in the race, I just saved really hard, and then I think I finished the first run like fifth, and basically every run I just worked on long run speed and just saved my tires, and then the second run I tried to stay up front and save my tires. So I pretty much just worked on the long run speed, and it paid off. I got to the lead there a couple times and held it, and then just tried working a little pit strategy at the end, and it just didn't work out. We didn't get up there in time, but fourth is still good. I just want to keep a hold of the points gap, and hopefully we can just continue to do that as the playoffs go on.
Were you catching those leaders at the end? How are your lap times compared to theirs, running those last 10 to 15 laps? Obviously, you pit a lot later after they did.
Yeah, I was about like a second quicker every lap. It's just a couple times I got held behind some guys that just didn't want to get out of the way, and I had to lift a couple times, and that cost me a couple tenths, and it just every tenth counted there. I needed as much time as I could get there in the last 10 laps. I just didn't have enough time. I think I was like 3 seconds back when the race ended. I think if we had a couple more laps, I definitely could have got there. My tires were a lot better. It was pretty good.
All right, well, very good points tonight for you. Very crucial points that you gained here tonight. So before we let you go, anybody you want to thank before you go enjoy the rest of your Thursday night?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Grayson and all the guys at Flying Arrows, CLD, Chris, for making my paint schemes, and ZD Autosport. So I'd like to thank those guys, and hopefully we can go win next week. I think Darlington it is.
Well, Blaze, of course, we thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. And, of course, obviously, good luck going to Darlington next week. No, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Blaze McKinney coming home in P number 4 tonight from Kentucky. Now going to look at our final driver in this top 5 to interview. It's going to be Guy Papalardo in the number 9 coming home in 5th. And a guy now bringing you in, and you had also a race worth noting because you weren't as quick as Alta Vicente, but you certainly had a fight to give them. You certainly were up there. You were carving through the field at one point, and it was looking like you were just going to go full send, go for the race lead, and hold it. And you did have a good part of the pit strategy. You were the beneficiary at some points, but just describe to us what your race was like in general and just how it went for you.
Well, like you said, pit strategy, and I don't know, just thing where everyone came out, and the green flag runs were pretty nice. We don't really get that much, but I don't know, I qualified pretty good, fell off at the start, and I don't know, just pit strategy and seeing where we all ended up and how many laps I could go. I was trying to stretch it for each run. Actually, the first run I ran out on pit road, so I had to barely get to my pit stop. I entered at 20 miles an hour, but yeah, that was about it. And then at the end, just got the passes with the better tires, and I ended up 5th because Malachi's insane strategy. So congrats to him, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, certainly coming home with a top 5 tonight, and you're not necessarily in these playoffs. You're still 16th in points. You still got things to gain. I know that there's still spots that you can gain on points, even though you're not contending for the championship. But now going through the rest of the schedule, what are your thoughts on going to Darlington next week and kind of the rest of the races going Charlotte, Dega, and Indianapolis, Phoenix, and so
on? Yeah, definitely like the bigger tracks, but Darlington, definitely not experienced at that track, but we'll see how it goes, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, Of course, you come home with a fifth tonight, Guy. And before we let you go, is there any sponsors, teams, or practically anyone you just like to give your shout out to or give your love to for tonight's effort?
I'm not sure. I was kind of on my own on my own tonight, so that's no one to give any thanks to, I guess.
Well, we certainly thank you, Guy, for putting on a show out there. It was a lot of fun watching you carve through the field, go through the field, and that pack racing was. We were pretty much on our toes the entire time through. So we appreciate it, and we appreciate the time, and of course we wish you the best of luck now going into Darlington next week.
Thanks, man. See you next week.
That was Guy Papalardo finishing 5th, your final driver in our interview tally. Well, Benjamin, we've had a wild night, to say for sure. We were expecting one thing, then all of a sudden it flips on its head. We were expecting another, all of a sudden that changes. So many things adapting in, so many things changing so dramatically here at a track like this now, especially going into these playoffs. And for the playoff drivers, even some had really rough nights. What is the key now if you're in a hole to go into Darlington, try to advance yourself into the round?
Stage points, plain and simple. It's going to be huge next week. But tonight, I'm just going to say this. This was probably the best race of the season. Unbelievable to call. There was 3 wide at one point for the race lead. They stuck it for about 3 laps. It was just wild racing out there, and then it ends up with a fuel-saving victory of all things. So just a very, very, very good race, start to finish.
Certainly an amazing race start to finish. We're going to take a look at your results just before we wrap up the broadcast and not really go over it in its entirety. So Malachi Drake, with that fuel strategy, comes home your winner here at Kentucky Speedway. Dylan All just short from 2nd. Vicente Salas comes home with a podium in 3rd. Blaze McKinney comes home 4th. Guy Papalardo finishes 5th. Tonight, Latham Joyner, who had the lead momentarily, will finish 6th. Blaze Brinkley into 7th. Brody Garner finishing 8th. Jordan Kuhn's playoff driver will come home 9th with damage. Braxton DeWeese results in a top 10 finish.
Andy McDowell gets 11th. Ryan Kendrick gets 12th. Sartaj gets 13th. Corey Hartz gets 14th, so Prox is 11th through 14th there. Casey Drake ends up 15th after having to pit on the final lap. Peter Kenny will end up 16th. Aaron Brown, who gave Malachi Drake the winning bump across the start-finish line, will finish 17th. Sam King, who did not have a good night whatsoever here, is in the 18th spot. Michael DiMaggio, Mark Frimpong are 19th and 20th, and then the rest of the field here as we scroll to 21st, that's Nick Miller, who got a penalty and just decided to quit for the night, will finish 21st. Mitch Hobbs, Chase Bonser, Josh Kosick, Cody Webster, and Michael Campbell will round out the field here tonight. 26 cars.
26 cars finishing tonight's action. And, of course, if you want to continue to tune in to the Redline Cup Series playoffs, we'll have more for you next week as we visit the Lady in Black in the Darlington Raceway. We'll most likely have that coverage depending on which network will it be on. It could be on the KBueno Racing Network. It would possibly be on MaxSpeed TV, but we will let you know if you follow the Redline Racing League on Instagram. They got updates throughout, so you will find out where the broadcast will be for the next coming races, especially going all the way to Phoenix and the Championship 4. We appreciate and thank each and every one of you for tuning into the broadcast tonight. What an unbelievable finish where Malachi Drake on fumes comes home as the victor here tonight from the Bluegrass State. I want to give our thanks to all the people that make this happen, for Cody Webster for putting on the league, and of course on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Charlie Baier, Francisco Bacallao, of course my partner in the booth Benjamin White, Kenneth Bueno, saying good night from Kentucky.